Hey Exiles, GhazzyTV here with a huge update on the Trickster ED Contagion build guide that has been seen as a great league starter guide for many years. Thanks to the 3.6 changes, this build went from being really good to freaking amazing. The new guide will have different playstyles ranging from low and high budget, as well as tons of options based on personal playstyles and in terms of gem usage. However, to make the guide less confusing for new players, I'll be focusing with this showcase the baseline design of the build for a low budget approach, and the higher budget styles are included in the written guide as well as POB links for all versions in the links below the video. But before we dive into the guide, it would mean a lot to me if you'd hit that subscribe button, like and comment to help me create more content like this and more. Besides that, you're also invited to join our Discord community in which we talk about anything Path of Exile or other games related. As mentioned, the baseline guide will be focusing on a low budget, so the gameplay footage in the background is played with absolutely horrendous gear. Now the elemental resistances, they are capped, the effective health is extremely low for these tiers of maps and modifiers, and is also only having a 5-link setup. Now despite this, the build is completely dominating the content and also kills bosses very smoothly and safely. It can do all map modifiers available in the game, however, the no regeneration maps can be somewhat risky to run, at least in hardcore. The design of the build offers a lot of free space to change or tweak the aspects of the build to cater to your personal playstyle. Now to start leveling this build, you start off by using a Freezing Pulse gem till you get Essence Drain and Contagion, at which point you can use either those two abilities, or a Blade Vortex, or even Stormbrand, whichever you prefer to level with till you get to level 24. At that point you can equip yourself with Bane. This will then be linked with Despair, Efficacy, and Control Destructions, which will completely destroy all content together with your skill tree, even at tier 16 maps. This is designed to be the main clearing ability, and the single target is designed to be using Essence Drain. Now you could tweak this and use a Soul Rend if you wish, but as stated, we'll be focused on the core design of the build in this guide. I would suggest leveling 3 Bane gems and 3 Essence gems in your weapon off slot at this point, to simply use them for corruptions or flipping to 20% quality when you're their higher level. You'll be simply destroying all content using Bane and throw in Essence Drain for bosses, and make sure you get to use a Wither setup such as a Spell Totem Wither with faster casting to get enemies to take increased chaos damage. This is among the best damage increasing additions to the build versus harder enemies or bosses. This style can be changed by using the Blight together with the Spreading Rot Threshold Jewel later on. And once you get a 4-link, you can add multiple totems as well to have 2 of them, flying the Wither stacks faster. Skill tree wise, we can start off with saying that you should kill all the bandits, because playing this build, they don't provide any beneficial stats for saving any of them. Now once you start playing the build, you want to pick up the physical and chaos and damage nodes all the way into coordination, pick up Blood Siphon and Trickery, run down, skip the dual node, pick up Method of Madness, and the Revenge of the Hunted. After this, the build goes very straightforward for the rest of your leveling approach. You go through the damage over time entropy into Fangs of the Viper, pick up Resourcefulness with life into the Blood Drinker. Again, you skip the dual slot here as well, and run down to get Face Acro and Acrobatics as soon as possible to enhance those layers of defense for the build. At this point, you want to run up and pick up Growth and Decay as well as Written in Blood. Now here you got a choice where you can either pick up more damage, or if you feel a little bit squishy, you just run down to pick up the Melding Life nodes. At this point of the tree, you want to skip picking up the Eldritch Battery as well as a Jewel slot and rush all the way into Heart and Soul for these Life and Mana nodes. I would suggest picking up Arcanist Dominion immediately because it gives you a lot of damage. You want to skip the Arcane Will and Arcane Focus and simply move straight up here and skipping the Jewel slot again to pick up Cruel Preparation because it gives you some extra resistances. At this point you also want to run to the left side and pick up Quick Recovery into Discipline and Training. So again, the focus of picking up life nodes for this tree early on is very important for the sake of leveling. And later on you want to pick up Corruption, and then you can focus on the extra Jewel slots and the extra life nodes, such as the 2 extra nodes here. You don't have to take them early on if you don't feel squishy. And the Eldritch Battery together with the Mind Over Matter node is something you don't want to really pick up early on. Now, Mind Over Matter can be picked up if you feel that you have mana to basically sustain it early on, but it's not something I would recommend for a new player. Instead, I would pick up both Eldritch Battery and Mind Over Matter at the same time by simply using a respec through a Regret Orb if you need to pick them up at the same time, but only after you've picked up the Escape Artist Ascendancy node. But more about that in detail in a bit. But speaking of Ascendancy nodes, the way I would prefer to start the Ascendancy nodes is to simply pick up Patient Reaper early on. This gives you a lot of extra damage and also some extra recovery when you kill something. This is very, very smooth when you're leveling. However, I would wait with Prolonged Pain and take this one last, and instead focus on the Cruel and Merc lab, pick up Ghost Stance as well as Escape Artist. And the Escape Artist provides you with an evasion rating per 1 maximum energy shield on your helmet. You want to have energy shield on your helmet for more evasion and more layers of defense, but most importantly, allowing you to have increased energy shield based off your evasion rating on your armor. Now, at this point, you're able to pick up both Eldritch Battery and Mind Over Matter, but it kind of depends on your gear a bit, because you want to have at least 1500 or more energy shield when you do this transition, which is why nodes such as the Arcane Focus as well as Arcane Will is being used for the build. Last but not least, we'll cover the gearing for this build. Now, the gameplay footage shows the build in high tier maps in horrible gear using a 5-link, and it still handles it very smoothly. The build can be played with next to no currency and rare items everywhere. However, there are some cheap unique options, such as the Huri's Ire, which works very well with the Escape Artist node I explained earlier, providing you with extra energy shield based off the evasion provided from the chest piece, to help you handle the Mind Over Matter and Eldritch Battery setup. Other chest options would be evasion and energy shield rolled at Series Splendor, or Queen of the Forest, and this doesn't mean that you have to use any of these unique chest pieces, because a rare hybrid evasion with energy shield chest piece with extra life on would work very well for this build as well. When it comes to the choice of weapons, however, you first have to decide if you want to use a two-handed weapon such as the Cane of Unraveling, or perhaps a crafted rare weapon with similar stats for the build. Or if you'd want to dual wield, or as I'd suggest, which is using a one-handed weapon together with a shield to help bump up your effective health while still packing a lot of damage. Now, the most important modifiers on your weapon is a non-ailment chaos damage over time, as this is a multiplicative damage modifier, but after this you want to focus on either spell damage, chaos damage, or damage over time on your weapon, as they will all scale additively the damage of all your abilities. For the detailed description of the guide, make sure to check the forum thread linked in the descriptions below. I hope you guys found this guide useful. If you played it or plan to, let me know in the comments below, and I'd love to hear if you tweaked or changed anything in it for your playstyle. I also want to give a big shout out to the people subscribing, liking, and commenting on my YouTube content. You guys are honestly the true MVPs, making me able to create more content like this. So thank you all for all the support. And as always, Exiles, till next time, stay safe and keep rocking.